World War II, a conflict that reshaped the world and exposed the darkest depths of human cruelty. Between 1939 and 1945, over 60 million lives were lost, and countless others were shattered by violence, fear, and inhumanity. This is the story of that war, and of the horrors that should never be forgotten. The seeds of World War II were sown in the aftermath of World War I. In 1919, the Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh reparations on Germany, creating deep resentment and economic turmoil. Amid this instability, Adolf Hitler and his Nazi Party rose to power in 1933. Hitler's vision of a greater German Reich was driven by territorial expansion and a horrifying belief in racial superiority. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland, prompting Britain and France to declare war. But the path to global conflict had begun years earlier, with Japan's invasion of Manchuria in 1931 and Italy's conquest of Ethiopia in 1935.
Breaking news.
Germany's strategy of blitzkrieg, or lightning war, overwhelmed its enemies. In just weeks, Poland was crushed and divided between Germany and the Soviet Union. By 1940, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, and France had also fallen. The Nazi occupation was marked by brutal repression. Entire villages were destroyed in reprisal for resistance. Civilians were executed, starved, and enslaved. But for millions of Jewish people, the horrors would escalate to genocide. The Holocaust stands as the darkest chapter of World War II. Hitler's regime sought to annihilate Jewish people and other marginalized groups. Ghettos confined entire communities under horrific conditions. From these ghettos, millions were transported to extermination camps. In camps like Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor, victims were systematically murdered in gas chambers. Over 6 million Jews perished. Survivors describe unimaginable cruelty, the loss of loved ones, the dehumanization, the endless fear. While Europe burned, Japan sought dominance in East Asia. The 1937 invasion of China led to atrocities such as the Nanjing Massacre, where devastatingly hundreds of thousands were killed and women brutally assaulted. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The United States entered the war, joining the Allied powers in a global struggle against the Axis forces. The tide turned in 1942 and 1943. At Stalingrad, Soviet forces inflicted a devastating defeat on Germany. In the Pacific, the U.S. Navy's victory at Midway crippled Japan's expansion. In 1944, Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. The liberation of Nazi-occupied Europe had begun, but at a tremendous cost. Thousands of soldiers were killed in the brutal assault. World War II brought total war to civilian populations. The firebombing of Dresden and Tokyo incinerated entire cities, killing tens of thousands in hours. In Hiroshima and Nagasaki, atomic bombs unleashed unprecedented destruction and long-term suffering. Families were vaporized in an instant. Survivors faced disfigurement, illness, and grief beyond comprehension. By 1945, the Axis powers were collapsing. The discovery of concentration camps shocked Allied soldiers and the world. Emaciated survivors and piles of corpses revealed the full horror of the Nazi regime. Hitler committed suicide in April 1945. Germany surrendered on May 7th. In the Pacific, Japan capitulated after the atomic bombings and Soviet intervention. On September 2nd, 1945, World War II finally ended. The war's aftermath reshaped the world. The United Nations was established to prevent future conflicts. At Nuremberg, Nazi leaders were held accountable for their crimes. The Holocaust remains a harrowing reminder of humanity's capacity for evil. Education and vigilance are essential to ensure such atrocities are never repeated. World War II showed us the depths of human darkness, but also the resilience of those who endured. Let us remember, so that history's darkest moments never return. Thank you for watching Real Dark History. I hope you learned some valuable information today. Please subscribe to our channel for more deep, dark, and insightful moments in world history.